The world was waiting for a signal. What if that signal wasn't what we expected? What if it was already here, and we just couldn't recognize it? In the heart of a quiet, ordinary town, a group of scientists working on a secret government project made an earth-shattering discovery. The world had been listening to the stars for decades, waiting for any sign of life beyond Earth. Dr. Evelyn Carter, a brilliant astrophysicist, was the first to notice it, a strange pattern in the radio waves from the deep void of space. It wasn't random static or natural interference, it was a message, a signal. A signal from somewhere, or someone, out there. At first, no one believed her. The pattern was faint, barely detectable, and far too subtle for most experts to take seriously. But Evelyn's gut told her something wasn't right. There was an intelligence behind it, and that intelligence had been watching Earth for much longer than anyone realized. The signal had arrived, not with a bang, but with a whisper that spoke of a civilization far more advanced than humanity could imagine. As the weeks passed, the signal grew stronger. The government caught wind of it, and soon, the quiet research facility where Evelyn worked became ground zero for an international effort to decode the message. For every expert who took the signal seriously, there was another who dismissed it as a mistake or an anomaly. But Evelyn knew. This was the beginning. The message was simple at first, a series of numbers, patterns, and frequencies that seemed nonsensical. But as they worked tirelessly to decode it, a clear message began to emerge. It wasn't a call for help or a warning, it was an invitation. An invitation for humanity to make contact. An invitation to join something larger than themselves. The scientists could barely contain their excitement, but with that excitement came a gnawing fear. What if this was a trap? What if this was something we were never meant to understand? There were no answers yet, only the signal, and the unknown. The government quickly moved to establish a secret meeting between the world's top scientists, military officials, and leaders. Evelyn was invited, and she found herself face to face with people who had spent their careers preparing for something like this. The message wasn't just a signal, it was a code. A code that, once deciphered, would unlock the next step in humanity's future. But what if they didn't want us there? What if the aliens were watching and waiting for us to make the wrong move? Evelyn wasn't sure, but as she stood at the forefront of this moment in history, one thing was clear: the world would never be the same. As the weeks turned into months, the world's governments had begun to prepare for the unknown. The message from the aliens was getting clearer, but no one knew exactly when, or how, the encounter would take place. The aliens had made it clear they weren't in a hurry to make their presence known, they wanted humanity to come to them, to prove they were ready for the next step. The message hinted at an event, something that would be the true test of humanity's readiness. No one knew when it would happen, but Evelyn began to suspect that they were already among us. The signals had been pointing toward Earth for years, maybe longer, and now it was time for the aliens to reveal themselves. But there was one detail that sent a chill down her spine: there was no mention of how humanity would be able to communicate with them. How would they understand us, and how could we understand them? The pressure mounted. The world's military forces were on high alert, preparing for anything. The United Nations called emergency sessions to discuss global strategies. The world was ready, or at least, they thought they were. It was during a routine meeting of the world's top leaders that the event took place. It wasn't a dramatic explosion, a sudden appearance of UFOs, or an invasion. It was subtle. A small craft landed in the middle of a remote desert in Nevada, near the infamous Area 51. The world watched in shock as the alien ship descended, landing gently on the Earth's surface. The craft was unlike anything humanity had ever seen. It wasn't metallic or solid, but it shimmered like liquid glass, reflecting the sky and the surrounding terrain. A small team of scientists, including Evelyn, was rushed to the site to observe and communicate with the visitors. The military stood at a distance, unsure of what to do next. As Evelyn and her team approached the craft, it seemed to respond to their presence. The surface rippled like water, revealing a series of glowing symbols that matched the signal they had been receiving. The invitation was clear: they were welcome, but only if they approached with caution and respect. The aliens didn't speak in words, at least not in a way that humans could understand. Instead, They communicated through images, emotions, and thoughts. They made it clear that they had been watching Earth for centuries, observing the rise and fall of civilizations. They were interested in humanity, not as a conquest or as subjects, but as a species with potential. But there was a price. Humanity had to prove that it could overcome its inherent flaws: greed, violence, and division. The aliens showed Evelyn a glimpse of their home, a place that defied all known laws of physics. It was a world of peace, where technology and nature were perfectly integrated. They had no need for war or conflict. They had transcended it. And they wanted humanity to join them, but only if they could break free from their own self-destructive tendencies. Evelyn was overwhelmed. The message was clear: humanity had a choice. They could either rise above their current state and join the aliens in a future of prosperity, or they could remain stuck in their destructive cycles and be left behind. The weight of the decision was staggering, and Evelyn wasn't sure if humanity was ready. As the aliens departed, leaving behind only a lingering sense of awe, Evelyn knew one thing. For certain, the future of Earth had just changed forever. The first contact had occurred, but the true test was still ahead. Would humanity be able to rise to the occasion, or would they squander their chance? Months passed, and the world held its breath. The message from the aliens had been made clear, but the path forward was uncertain. Leaders across the globe debated what to do. Some believed humanity was ready to join the aliens, to shed its old ways and embrace a new, unified future. Others feared the unknown, worried that trusting these beings could lead to destruction. The world was divided. Evelyn found herself at the heart of the debate, torn between the hope of a brighter future and the fear that humanity wasn't ready to let go of its past. She had spent her life studying the stars, seeking answers to the universe's greatest questions. But this wasn't a discovery of the mind, it was a challenge to the very soul of humanity. The aliens had given humanity a choice, but it wasn't as simple as saying yes or no. It wasn't just about joining an advanced civilization, it was about evolving as a species. Humanity would have to change, to abandon its old ways, and embrace the idea of cooperation, unity, and peace. But could the world really change? Could it overcome its history of war, greed, and division? As Evelyn stood before the United Nations, preparing to address the world's leaders, she knew that this decision would shape the future of Earth. The aliens had given them the tools to evolve, but it was up to humanity to decide if they were ready to take that leap. The choice was theirs, and it wasn't an easy one. In the end, the world decided. Humanity, with all its flaws and imperfections, would try. They would try to rise above their history, to take the hand of the aliens and step into a new era. It wasn't a perfect decision, and it wasn't an easy one, but it was a choice to move forward. The first contact had led to a new chapter in human history, one where the fate of Earth was in the hands of its people. As Evelyn looked up at the stars, she realized that humanity had taken its first step into the unknown. The aliens had shown them the way, but the journey was theirs to make. And with that, a new era began. The story brings up several ethical questions, especially concerning humanity's readiness to engage with a more advanced civilization. First, the story examines whether humanity, with its history of violence and self-interest, is capable of evolving to a higher moral standard. The aliens' invitation isn't just about sharing technology or knowledge, but about fundamentally changing the way humans interact with one another and with the world. Another ethical consideration is the question of trust. Is it ethical to place blind faith in a superior alien race, especially when there's no guarantee of their intentions? The story suggests that true progress requires mutual trust, and humanity must overcome its own internal divisions to earn the right to join the larger galactic community. Finally, the story also touches on the ethics of progress. Is it ethical to impose change upon a species that may not be ready for it, even if the goal is for their greater good? The tension between maintaining human autonomy and accepting help from an external force presents a significant ethical dilemma. In the end, the story proposes that true progress requires self-awareness, responsibility, and the willingness to change, both as individuals and as a species.